This is James, and I'm sitting here with Corey and James Dubison.
Hello.
Corey, how's everything going your way?
It's going just wonderful. It's nice and cool outside.
By
Just like
cool,
we
do
like
you
it.
mean 30 degrees?
Yeah.
Like it is?
By cool, I mean freezing cold.
It's okay, though, because you got the beard going.
That's right. The
and
beard
long
is keeping
hair,
the beard
so-
is strong and alive and keeping the face warm. But it is about to come off pretty soon. I must warn everybody. So sad day.
Well, James, you haven't been on here yet, and there's a second James, so Corey, you got to make sure
It's
you
gonna be
clarify
confusing.
yourself later. But James, if you would go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is James. I am the youth minister at Lee Heights Baptist Church in beautiful old Florence, Alabama. I've been living here for about 5 years. Went to UNA, graduated in May of 2016, and I'm currently a student at New Orleans. So,
You want to introduce anybody in your life or anything like that?
what do you mean, like
Okay.
the old girlfriend?
The whole girlfriend.
Yeah,
She
well,
old? Is
no,
that what
I
you're
mean,
telling
no,
us?
she's younger than me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but, her name's Erin. She's really cool. She's from the little town of Cherokee. We actually met at Piggly Wiggly, oddly enough. So,
That's definitely something that happens in Alabama.
yeah,
And in a
that's
small
that's only
town.
can happen in
Small
Alabama and to somebody who tries not to be country like me. But yeah, we've been dating for over 2 years. I know my boy Corey over here for a long time.
Yes.
First time I ever saw him, he was actually sleeping on my couch at like midnight. I was going down to get some milk. Anyways, that's a fun story.
Great story.
Great story.
So how long have you been here at Lee Heights?
I've been at Lee Heights since September of 17, so a few months. It's been good. Just now getting into the groove of everything, kind of working myself into the culture here. So it's been really good. It's been a lot of fun. Very challenging, but a lot of fun too.
Okay, so you were in seminary, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, yeah.
So are you taking any classes this coming up semester?
Yeah, I'm taking a couple. One is exploring the New Testament. Last semester I took exploring the Old Testament, so kind of just moving along there. And then the other one is Jesus and Islam. So that's
Okay.
going to be a really interesting class, I think, for sure.
Awesome. So I know you seminary, youth pastor, and the listeners may not know, but you're in your bright and shiny Chick-fil-A uniform right now.
Chick-fil-A.
Yes, sir.
Closed on Sundays.
Closed on Sundays, so that works out. I don't actually have a day off, so it's good. Yeah, man, love eating the chicken biscuits and the chicken sandwiches and the waffle fries and
There's a little plug
all
right
that
there.
good stuff.
was,
Yeah, that's a shameless
hit a
plug there.
Chick-fil-A near
Come
you.
hit us up. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, me and Corey actually had Chick-fil-A for lunch.
We
and
did.
I went all healthy. I was under 500 calories. So what's up?
What'd you get? The grilled club or
Grilled chicken sandwich and a side salad.
dude
And
that?
half and half lemonade.
Oh man, half diet, half regular, right?
Yes.
Dude, that's the way to go.
Um,
Except for Splenda, I don't like Splenda. Other
no,
than
but
that,
it's actually pretty good. So it worked out well
yeah.
for us. Now, Corey did not eat healthy.
I did not. I never.
Corey,
eat
what'd you
healthy.
got? What'd you hit up?
I had nuggets, man. Yes.
8 count or 12 count?
12.
You gotta go 12,
baby.
dog.
12.
What kind of sauce do you have?
I actually didn't do any sauce this time. Dude, the nuggets are so good they don't need
No,
sauce.
Chick-fil-A sauce.
Now-
You gotta have
is
Chick-fil-A
Now,
sauce.
on the chicken sandwiches, when I get those, I do put Chick-fil-A sauce.
Dude, I have a
It's the
whole
best.
box of Chick-fil-A sauce at my house.
We used to
What?
have when we lived together, we
Yes.
had that little
So
tub.
I really may edit this part out, but I have to make this known.
Yeah.
The honey barbecue sauce from Chick-fil-A
Yeah.
is just
tastes
like
exactly like it.
the Chick-fil-A sauce.
No
There's
way.
no difference.
No way.
Have you ever tried it? There's no difference.
No, dude.
Try
Well,
it.
yeah, I have, but
Are
there's
you
really.
disagreeing with me?
I mean, I'm just saying I haven't had it in a while.
You got to try it because it tastes
Dude.
exactly the same. Corey, he agreed with me.
Yeah, I'll take a
Okay.
little taste. But
So anyway, James, let's get past Chick-fil-A and let's talk about
oh,
the topic of the day. And for those that don't know yet, because we haven't told you yet, but we're going to be talking about social media and the church and social media and the pastor. But James, before we get to any of that, if you could just give us a brief
explanation.
Explanation?
of your testimony, and then also explain to us kind of how you ended up in ministry and why you felt called to that.
Yeah, sure. I'll give you the kind of elevator speech of my testimony. I didn't really grow up in church. My parents were separated when I was 5, so didn't grow up in church. Everything was good. My mom and stepdad were happy. Everything was great. When I was 12, I started just questioning everything. And so for about 3 years, I went on this kind of cool journey of trying to discover the truth and what was the meaning of life and all those cliche questions that a 12 to 15-year-old will ask. And during that time, I never really thought about going to church. And then whenever I was 15, I was a water boy for the football team. That's another long story. I'm not athletic enough to play, but that's not really the reason. Anyways, during a football practice, a youth minister invited me to come to church. I went, got my mom to go, and my mom and I got saved on the same day, September 27, 2009.
On Corey's birthday.
Yeah, that's crazy,
we've talked
isn't it?
about that
On his
before.
birthday.
So I'm
On
glad
my
something important happened that
Yeah,
day.
I know. He was
Okay.
celebrating his 30th birthday, I think, that year.
30th.
So,
I'm
and
not
I was
30 for
celebrating
our
my
listeners.
first
I'm not 30.
38, right?
No, I'm not 38.
But yeah, my mom and I got baptized on the same day, got saved on the same day, so that was really cool. And then a few years after that, graduated high school, came up here to UNA, University of North Alabama, and about 2 months into that, felt the Lord calling me to ministry. I surrendered to the ministry. And it took about a year and a half to get my first position in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. Was there for about 10 months. And then I got a part-time position in Cherokee, Alabama. Was there for about 2.5 years, and then the Lord called me here. And so, the Lord has really blessed me in my life with a testimony. And really, my testimony is a lot of the reason that I'm in ministry now. My youth minister had a huge impact in my life, and so I feel like I can have that impact in the lives of teenagers now.
It's awesome. I know I'm not Corey, so I'm going to speak for him, but that's kind of why I think he feels called to youth ministry too, because his youth pastor played a big part in his life. And,
Yes, absolutely.
So that's awesome, man. I'm glad God's called you here and excited to see how he's going to use you at this new position, and just excited about having you on the podcast this evening. Cool with it. We're going to talk about social media in the church.
Yeah.
And then Corey's going to cover social media in the pastorate. To begin with, look at how social media benefits both of these areas. So my question for you to begin with, what are the best ways that you utilize social media for your church and for youth ministry?
Yeah, everybody's on social media. For me, I see Facebook as the medium that parents are on, and Instagram and Snapchat and social media platforms like that are where teenagers are. So in this day and age, that's how people communicate. They communicate through social media posts, stuff like that. And so you do events, you create events on Facebook, you do different stuff and then on Instagram, you make posts, and we'll talk about this later, I'm sure, but you can use Snapchat as well as a ministry. You have to be careful, but you can use it to communicate very well with students, because you can tell if they open it or not. So I think that those are very helpful in serving the Lord, and if you use them the right way, they're not the most essential part of your ministry, but I think that here in America, in this day and age, if you're reaching teenagers, you have to be able to use social media and use it in a way that, just kids can connect with. So
with speaking with you two guys, I want to get y'all's perspective on both the church as a whole and youth ministry. So what do y'all think? Do you think that in your context, which one benefits the youth ministry more? Is it Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat? What's your thoughts on that? Or a combination of the two?
Definitely, I would not. I'd say Facebook's probably not in that running. A lot of teenagers not on Facebook anymore. There are some.
No, they're not.
But a lot of them are not. Snapchat, I would probably you can use some really cool things with it. Like you can the D Now weekend I helped with last weekend at Daniel Brown's church. He had a filter for their event, a Snapchat filter.
$5 for about 2 hours.
And the students would post stuff on Snapchat, and it would say Calera Baptist Church, and it had there, and it's a good advertisement thing, and people get to asking questions. So I would probably say Snapchat or Instagram's probably your best one.
On the idea of Instagram, I'm assuming you probably have an Instagram account in the youth ministry's name, right? Or do y'all
Yeah,
or do you just use your own?
Yeah, so I have my own personal account, and then we have the student ministry account at Lee Heights Students. Plug there as
There you
well.
go. Shameless plug.
Follow us. We have about 64 followers, so maybe we
shoot.
can get to 66. That would be good. But yeah, I have my own individual, and then we have the youth ministry, and then we have the churches, and then our children's ministry has one. So it's like everybody in the church, every ministry in the church has one.
Okay.
I haven't really figured out what really works for this church. I know for the church that I used to work at, it was honestly it was Facebook. As crazy as that sounds, but that was a younger group, and so Facebook a lot of times is the first platform that students get on. I've seen for me. I don't know about other people. I don't know why they wouldn't go on Instagram, but for my kids, it was Facebook for sure.
Well, I think like Facebook, the way that it is good is it's a good way to communicate to the parents.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And when you post pictures or videos of your events that you've done, the parents can see it and they can see what's going on. Or if you share like, hey, we're about to start this study, they know. So I think there's a good balance there between using those.
And then obviously with social media, I think we would all agree that it's also regional as well.
Yeah,
some areas in the country, Twitter may do better than Facebook or Instagram or either. So on the Snapchat, obviously, we talked about the whole idea of having a filter for an event and maybe even a youth ministry filter and things of that nature. But do you have like a Snapchat just for your youth group, or do you use personal to accommodate for that, or how do y'all work that?
I've tried to set up a ministry one, and it hasn't gone well because it shows up as me.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's me getting old or what with Snapchat, but I use it more as for the create and the filters and stuff. I don't really add students to it. I have a few that are at my old church, but none really here. Okay. Like I said, we'll probably talk more about that, but I just use my own personal account a lot of times. So,
yeah, I don't have a youth group when I just use my personal account, but it is really good, like we've talked about, for plugging Bible verses, plugging events. When you see when your students when they post where they're at, if they're at youth, that. For me, I know in my experience, it sparked, oh, hey, I see that you're at church at 6:45, so next week, can I come? So that's kind of how we've used it.
Awesome. I would say for me, as where I'm located at and doing pastoral ministry, that Instagram and Twitter would definitely not fit where Facebook does, which is kind of like what we talked about earlier. That's more of it tends to be more of an adult rather than a youth or child.
Yeah. So do you feel like that's kind of fits you more since you're doing the senior pastor kind of over the whole congregation, or do you feel like it's the area that you live in that even the kids are using Facebook more?
Well, I think Snapchat's a big thing for all youth nowadays, and even some adults. But even in the area, I think Instagram's pretty big for even the younger. But I think it's mainly Facebook for the older, which I enjoy it because we're able to communicate, put videos up. There's definitely some issues that you can run into with doing Facebook because a lot of people do Facebook Live and things like that. But if you ever do any music or anything like that on Facebook Live, you have to have the CCLIs to cover you for that. And so there's different areas to address in that. And us three, we're definitely not professionals in social media and the churches, but it's just some things to think about in that area.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing I have noticed about you promoting on Instagram and whatnot for the youth group is the images you make for series or for week by week things.
Yeah.
So how do you go about making those? Do you do like Corey and do you Google them and sell them all, or do you make them yourself, or what?
First of all, I don't post any of that kind of stuff. So
yeah, Corey's not really on social media much as far as ministry goes, I feel like, but. But for me, I use a website called Canva. You can get a free account, Check it out. It's super easy. If you are terrible at graphic design, you can go in there and literally search whatever event you want to do. Now, I'm not great at it, but I do create most of my stuff from scratch. I use Canva and the Adobe suite of things, InDesign, Photoshop, things like that. And then there's also multiple apps on your phone for that stuff. With technology today, you don't have to have a graphic design degree. You don't have to be able to vector things and create cartoons and stuff to be able to use graphic design. So for me, the process starts with what is my goal? What am I trying to survey with my graphic? Like right now we're going through a series called the Why series. And we're really investigating the why behind our faith. And our graphic is 3 circles with different colors and WHY, which spells why. And really,
Is that how you spell why?
yeah, I know. That's crazy, right?
Whoa.
That's crazy. I learned that at Thorsby High School.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out. But yeah, and so the 3 different colors, presents 3 different perspectives. Anyways, my graphics really, I try to get the idea of the message or in the graphic.
So, have you had any luck, or have you even tried to use the Canva app for the iPhone?
Yeah,
Because I hated it.
dude, yeah, there's a lot of work. I'm old school, all right? I was there before they even had an app.
Yeah.
So, I'm thankful for the app, but it's terrible, dude.
Yes,
The only
I agree.
thing, literally the only thing it's good for is designs that you've already done.
Yeah.
And you want to download it. It's terrible. The iPad, or I'm pretty sure they have it on Android devices too for
I'm sure they
for
do.
their tablets and stuff.
Yeah.
But I have an iPad, and it's okay. It's only a little bit better than the cell phone stuff, but
Now, see, Canva is what I use as well.
yeah,
It's actually what we use for every image that we make for the podcast episodes. That's what I make them on.
Shout out.
Just in case you were wondering. But I wanted to recommend one thing with that, since he mentioned it, is that if you're a pastor or a youth pastor of a church, if you get a copy of your 501(c) status, and if you're like us 3 here, you're a part of a Southern Baptist church, and you may not have a copy of that, but what you can do is, if you're a Southern Baptist church, you can call the executive committee in Nashville, Tennessee. They will send you a copy of your 501(c) status, because you fall under the umbrella of Southern Baptist, and you can send that into Canva and fill out a form, and you can actually get all of their paid upgrades for free, except for a few add-on images and things of that nature. But it opens up a lot of options, so I would recommend doing that if you're just curious of how to start in that. And you're welcome to message me or James. We'll put his information on the show notes, so you could talk to one of us if you're curious of how to do that. But I wanted to ask you two guys one more questions, especially when it comes to youth ministry. I'm really curious about this. Is there any kind of unspoken rules that comes with the doing social media for your youth or church events? Like, I know Corey jokes around all the time about not putting 2 pictures up on Instagram on the same day.
Yeah, you can't double
and
post,
different
man.
things.
It has to be worth it.
Can't do
Is
that.
it?
Yeah,
Because it's
yeah.
just a different world out there now. So
Yeah.
what are some of those that maybe that exist that it's just known by people?
So definitely don't double post on Instagram. On Facebook it's fine, but Instagram don't double
No
post.
double po. No.
But for me, don't Google and steal an image. All right.
So don't be Corey.
Don't be Corey. It's literally illegal, so don't do that. Not saying that Corey
Long time
does
ago,
it.
yeah.
A long time ago.
Early on.
Early on. He was young, didn't know any better.
That's right.
But yeah, don't plagiarize. If somebody says if you can Google an image and there's no watermark, you can steal it or take it. No, that's stealing. Don't plagiarize. That's actually a spoken rule. And then this is kind of really important. Know what account you're posting from. All right. So
Yes.
you
Get
don't
awkward.
want to post the selfie with the girlfriend in Nashville, Tennessee, and how much you love her and how great she is on your
youth account.
on the youth account. So yeah, don't do that.
And you also don't want to post a youth event photo in an Everyday Ministry Podcast Facebook post. the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who would do that?
Yeah. Why would you do that?
Oh,
That was
man.
you, Corey.
I know.
I mean, he's just trying to reach people, you know.
That was a mistake. First of all.
And James's was it?
Yeah. Well, I didn't do that. I'm
know.
just
Oh, you
saying.
didn't do that?
Yeah, no, man. I always
didn't
know what account I'm
criticize.
on.
Oh, okay.
For our listeners,
So
if you
what's
can
the
tell, the other people, these guys don't love me, so they're not showing the
We
love
love
of
you, Corey.
Jesus. So, you know.
And then the last one is each platform is unique. Don't do that thing where it links and counts, where if you post on Instagram, it posts on Facebook. Because as we discussed earlier, every social media platform is different. It reaches different people. Instagram is for the younger people, and Facebook is for the older people. And so make unique posts. It may almost be exactly the same thing, but on Facebook, add more words, because people go to Facebook for more words, and Instagram, it's all about the picture.
Yes.
And so even though Facebook is moving towards that, it's not there yet. So know what platform you're posting on, and don't do the thing where it links. It's cool and it's easy, but take that extra step and post something different.
So you're saying that that's the lazy man's way is to
No.
let your-
I'm not saying
kidding.
that it's lazy. I'm saying that
I'm just joking.
I'm just saying it's not the most effective way of doing it.
I would
for
agree
sure.
with that.
Yeah.
You have to word things differently for different people, and
Yes.
Yeah.
you know, and like he said, the more words on Facebook, that's good.
I would I want to give this obvious one, and even though I'm not the best one at it, and I have to get my wife to look at everything I put online or, give to people at the church, but proofread the stuff you put
Oh
out.
man, absolutely.
Uh,
I think
Yes.
that's one of the most important
Please.
things you could do.
And be careful about autocorrect.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
That can get you
Another
in trouble.
thing. Don't say I. If you're posting for your ministry, don't say I. Like, I want you to come. Like, who's I? Like, I, the ministry. It's we and us, or we are excited about this great event that we have coming up on February 16th and 17th. Like stuff like that.
So, Corey, you're going to ask a few questions about the social media and the pastor, which is a little different because previously we talked about the church in general, but this time we want to talk about the minister themselves.
Yeah, this is as the individual, like you as a pastor, a youth pastor, somebody in ministry. How should you conduct yourself over social media, and what are some things you should probably think about? So probably going to be a little bit of the same answer here, but
Yeah.
what are some good reasons, just as a minister, to use social media for? What are some good things you can use there, James?
Man, it's just another opportunity to share the gospel. Honestly, I know that's a very Sunday school life group, cell group, whatever you have on Sunday mornings answer. But, I mean, you have an opportunity to show your students, to show the parents of your students, and really, like, your family, everybody, what it's like to be a Christian in this world. And I feel like a lot of times, people just think that we don't do anything, but if you're able to show that you're able to have fun and glorify the Lord in it, that's just awesome. And it's a great way to stay connected with old students. Corey, I know you probably can agree with that. My students in Tennessee and in Cherokee, I love seeing what they're doing, even though I'm not actively involved in their lives. I can follow them, and so that's a great reason as a minister to have your own personal account on social media.
It can be a great platform, and like we said a while ago, you have the different types of platforms, and I think it's really important. Like, to me, Facebook is better. This is just my opinion. Facebook is better to minister to people because it's more, Instagram's just pictures, which that can be used obviously, but Facebook, you can post your statuses and things, and I like doing encouraging things or maybe sharing an encouraging video and whatnot, and I use that as a way to just kind of convey maybe a thought that has touched me, and that's how I do it personally, and I think that it's a good thing for ministers to use. It is, and today we have the fine line between too much social media and then using social media the right amount and in the right way. And so, there's plenty of good reasons to use it. So don't count social media out if you're not a big social media user. Don't think that it can't be used for good. So now We spoke about this a little bit a while ago as far as a ministry goes, but as an individual, what are some unspoken rules do you guys think as a minister, as an individual, for using social media?
I want to go first on this.
Yeah,
one.
dude, go ahead.
Go.
All right. Unspoken rule number one, which is spoken, because I'm telling you right now, do not, as a minister, do not get in Facebook arguments.
Preach. Preach.
Yes. Retweet.
And then also,
Subtweet.
Yep.
I would also recommend to limit yourself on political
Yep.
Yeah, for
posts.
sure.
Retweet.
Because to me, I think you can have a voice. I don't think think you're disqualified to have a voice because you're a pastor or minister of some sort. But you don't want everything you put out there be about an election of some sorts. So one, don't argue on Facebook a lot. I mean, you may disagree every now and then.
Yeah,
It's
have
cool.
a little
Special
conversation.
groups, different things.
There's a difference
Yeah,
in
go
giving
ahead.
advice and
Yeah,
you know,
and getting stuck in the
sharing
weeds.
and ranting.
Yeah.
And then also, this is just a pet peeve of mine. Do not send chain messages through
Oh
Facebook
my goodness!
Messenger.
Stop.
Don't do it.
Stop.
Don't do it.
If we
Don't send it
this-
through Instagram direct message either, or
send this-
Twitter, or
Who does that?
anything.
15
Nobody. I'm just saying, if we tell them not to do it on Facebook, then they'll be like, okay, I do it on Instagram and Twitter and
send this
Pinterest.
to 15 people and you will receive a blessing.
I mean, I miss a
So,
lot of blessings. man.
Any other ones, guys? I know I tackled the first big three. but-
Yeah, no, yeah. go
Sort
ahead,
of
Corey.
going off of what you said, James White. Two Jameses over here. I wouldn't get into rants either. As far as you had a bad
Yeah, you gotta
day,
be
things are
careful.
going bad, and the place you want to take it to is Facebook, or you want to post like a paragraph and a half about why your lights got cut off and why a car cut you off in traffic and why you lost your debit card, and I know what that's like plenty of times.
Yes,
And
it
why
does.
this person honked at you on the street. That's Facebook's not the place for that. I heard in a song one time, a Christian rap song of all places, it says, "Why don't you face your problems? Don't Facebook them." And I mean that's good advice. That's not the place for that. And the Bible talks about ranting, and there's time for that. And I mean there's time to vent necessarily in a good way, but I would not say social media is for that. So don't use that as an avenue to rant angrily.
Yeah, for sure. You gotta, with the political stuff, I'm kind of with you. Something that I struggle with because I have very strong views with that. So it was hard for me to kind of stay away from it, but I knew that I wasn't just representing myself. I was representing, even though it was my personal account, I was representing my church too. So I had to be careful of that. Yeah, don't send chain messages for sure. And I think kind of following. Keep the living room conversations in the living room. If you want to have a deep theological conversation about things that really they're minor issues, keep that in the living room. Keep that between you and somebody else, because over 80% of communication is nonverbal, which includes text, but most communication is done through body language, verbal cues, things like that. So people aren't going to understand what you're saying, so just be careful with that. Don't get involved in that stuff. Don't rant, please.
Please.
Don't.
Absolutely.
Please.
I have one more, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, for
before
sure.
We can open up the next question. And this one I just thought of when they're talking about not ranting, and this is just another pet peeve of mine. If you live in a town and you have a bad experience at a restaurant, do not blast everyone at that restaurant on your Facebook page.
Especially if you live in Alabama, man, because
Yeah.
they're all related. Like they are
Yeah.
all family.
Yeah.
So you are blasting a church member's great grandson or something.
I mean, I live in a town of 2,000, and I'll see
Everybody
people all
knows
the time
everybody.
blasting a restaurant, how they're never going to go back there, and knowing good and well that they only got 4 options, so they're going back there.
Yeah,
next
where
week.
else are you gonna go, man?
And so please don't do that. I know it's just a
Yeah.
rant of mine. We just said don't rant. But anyway, Corey, keep us going
Wow.
here.
Hypocrite. Okay, so are there any forms of social media that you think people should stay away from completely at all?
I want to amend this question.
He's gonna amend it.
We've already had some discussion
So-
Yeah.
prior to.
I personally, as I've told both of the guys on here today, I personally am not a fan of Snapchat because of the obvious is that, they can just disappear, any picture, any conversation. And so as a minister or anybody in general, you can be accused of something that may have never happened and you have nothing to prove it by. And so I'm not a big fan of Snapchat, but I do see the benefits of it. And so we're going to amend this question a little differently and ask what are some possible dangers with certain forms of social media?
Well, obviously, we've mentioned some of them already. I think, obviously, if you use it in the wrong way, your witness can be tarnished. Your example can be hurt and harmed. I think if you treat social media can be a god. I fully believe that, and I think it is to some people. I have students in my youth group that they'll post 20 Snapchat stories a day, and I have students in my youth group, they'll post a picture, and I have watched them and caught them. And I think everybody can be guilty of this from time to time. I mean, I've done this before, but I think when you constantly do this, there's a problem. Rechecking your stuff to see how many likes you've got, and kind of living or dying by how many likes or how many comments or anything like that you got. So I think you can really get lost in it, and I think that's something that, as a minister, you definitely should be cautious of. To me personally, I don't think there's any social media you should just stay away from, but you need to be aware each social media platform has specific dangers that you should watch out for.
Yeah, for sure. There's actually things that I can't think of the word for them, but they're things that release in your brain whenever you get endorphins. Yeah. And so it's actually a chemical reaction that you have to someone liking your stuff. So yeah, you got to be careful and be aware. For me with Snapchat, I'm just now getting to the point where I will add students, because I believe, like, the other day I got a recap of my whole year last year in Snap. So it's like, are they really disappearing? So, but you still got to be careful. You can't be adding people that you don't know, like kids that you don't know. Yeah, and you just have to be super, super careful. I mean, if I was going to say one, James, I would say Snapchat. Don't add anybody under 18, and that is still changing a little bit. Because I think as Snapchat matures, if it continues to be a thing, that they'll eventually create some way that the pictures, because initially that's what it was created for, stuff like that. But now it's kind of more socialized. So hopefully they create it where it's in a very secure system that those images are.
I mean, I don't know all of the format of it, but I would assume they do save things up to some point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But any kind of lawsuit against a ministry
is not good. Oh, yeah. Like, it doesn't matter. Honestly, as soon as the Birmingham News or the Montgomery Advertiser or the Times Daily for us publishes your name, that's it.
Yeah.
It's over. It doesn't matter if you don't even know the person. It doesn't matter, because every time a church does a background check, it's over. Yep. And I mean, you can imagine as a parent, if you were looking to hire a youth minister, and that was even an accusation, why would you?
Exactly.
So, you just got to keep yourself accountable and make sure that you just don't be dumb. And even if you feel like you're not being dumb, have somebody check it, Like, have a friend that's like, dude, you're being dumb.
I would add out there too, on some of the dangers is, I think text messaging goes into this as well.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Facebook messaging.
I was going to say direct messaging.
Any kind of direct messaging.
Yeah, DMing and stuff is no.
Be careful with that, of course. But also, I think the same principle applies to a minister being in the room alone with
for sure.
female pastor, youth pastor, whatever the case may be. So if you're married and you're out there and you or having a conversation with a lady or a girl in the church, I would just encourage you to let your wives know about that conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that would be one step you could put in place to prevent an issue with that.
And if you're single, get the pastor's wife or get a leader in the church. Or if you're single, just say, girls, we're not going to direct message. If you need to communicate, you can text me, and know that any conversations that we have, if it does go the wrong way, this is who I'm going to talk to, and it's going to happen immediately. So it's always good in anything. It's kind of like this, having another person in the room with you. It's always good to have those safeguards up, for sure. Even on Snapchat, maybe give your password to someone just so you have that extra layer. Even though somebody accused you, that wouldn't help you much. But
Me and Corey was actually having a conversation the other day. He went home for Christmas, and his brother is about, what, 14?
That's Justin.
Justin. How old
Jack
is Justin?
is
Jack.
9, 10.
How old's
9,
Justin?
10. Justin's 15.
All right, Justin's 15-year-old, and this is kind of, I just want to use this story to introduce why we're talking about this, is because Corey was telling me that Justin sent Corey a message on social media instead of texting or calling him.
Yeah.
And that's the 15-year-old in our generation. And so, especially in youth ministry, social media is how the kids are using, right?
Yeah.
Not text messages, phone calls. Those are even becoming more obsolete.
Yeah,
to
because
me.
he did that, and I sent him back. I said, "Why didn't you just text me? why are you sending on Snapchat?"
So, but guys, I think we've had a good conversation.
for
a
sure.
little longer than I wanted.
Sorry.
And we're at 9% on my battery. So, real quick, is there any plugs of the week?
Yeah. So for social media and PR stuff, because we're all doing public relations one way or another, there's a new book out by Justin Dean. It's called PR Matters: A Survival Guide for Church Communications. Check it out. It's a good book. Follow Student Ministry on Facebook, on Instagram, on Spotify. We have a Spotify playlist. Yeah, I know, getting creative out
Stepping
there.
it
At Lee Heights Students on everything. So, yeah, those are the plugs of the week.
Another plug we'd like to add is, I believe, James has read this book, I think. Yes.
I have not.
You have not read this book? Okay. I know some people that have. This book called Swipe Right by Levi Lusko.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Heard good things about it.
Awesome book to check out. And it talks about social media, and it the whole book's not about that, but it does touch on it, and it might make you think in different ways that you might not have thought of. One other thing, though, before we wrap up here, is we have not asked James, our guest, the question that we always ask.
Yeah,
We
dude,
skipped
I've been
over
waiting
it
for
somehow.
it, man.
In your words, how would you describe an everyday minister?
Yeah, man, I'll give you the elevator speech on this one so that
Yes.
his battery doesn't die. Basically, I look at how Jesus served, and not hopefully more than a Sunday school answer, but whenever you look at Jesus, he worked, and then he ministered as well. And I think for me, being bivocational, working at Chick-fil-A and stuff, and I have a chance to minister to people by the way I live my life, whether that's through social media or the way that I serve people at Chick-fil-A or the way that I treat my team members at Chick-fil-A. So we look at how Jesus did ministry, and every single day he served people, no matter what, no matter how he felt, no matter how he felt about them, even the Pharisees and the people who were beating him, he served them and he loved them. So I think if we're going to be an everyday minister, we have to look at the way that Jesus ministered to people.
Absolutely.
Man, I could not agree more. Well, guys, I've enjoyed this episode of the Everyday Ministry Podcast. And James, before we get off of here, tell us how we can get on touch of your social media.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna have to spell my last name. It's
That would be a good idea.
ready
yeah,
for
dude.
this one.
It's at my Twitter. I don't get on there much, but my Twitter is at J_Dubazon, and my Instagram is at James_Dubazon. Not many people have those last names, so my last name is D as in dog, U as in unicorn, B as in boat, U as in unicorn, I as in isotope, S as in snake, S as in snake, O as in octopus, and N as in Ned.
Nigeria.
Nigeria.
Thank you for spelling it out.
Yeah.
But for everybody that's listening, his Facebook name will be tagged on this post.
Yes,
and
sir.
everything will be in the show notes.
Yes.
So thank you for spelling it out, though, because I got to hear you say isotopes.
For sure.
Well, guys, I've enjoyed the podcast. I think it's been a good conversation. And
Absolutely.
I want to add one more thing, and I said this earlier. We are definitely not experts in this area. But we did want to have a simple conversation of how to do social media, not only in the idea of youth ministry, even though that had been the large part of our conversation, but in ministry in general. And if you're listening to this podcast, you probably heard about it on social media. So get out there and use it for your church.
For sure.
But this has been the Everyday Ministry Podcast, and a podcast where everyday ministers get together to discuss ministry.